Alright guys, hey, thanks for joining me today. We actually do have some honest carnage this time. Older farmer feeding cows in the winter time. That's tough on them old front ends, and busted that front end pretty good. And we knew the tractor was showing up, and over the weekend they just hired a roll-off to haul the tractor down here, and then we'll go look at that 4430 for sale. That if anybody needs a good 4430, it's not mine, it's the customer's. Let's look at this. So you can see the the other part of the front axle with the tire there, the bent up tie rod sticking out the side. And so I'm gonna see if I can't get that loader off. It's only a 3010 or 3020, so we're not dealing with literal tons of weight. But I'm gonna see if I can't set my forks right on top of his loader frame and lift that loader off there, because then we're not dealing with much weight at all. Then I'm gonna see if we can't shim that front axle so it can't pivot, and then see if we can't push the tractor in on one wheel. And so, yeah, I don't know where that spear is out there. I don't want to get too, I don't want to accidentally push the tractor off the block. Let's get close there and see what that looks like. I want to be very careful. Obviously, I don't want anything to happen. So I'm literally just moving an inch. Oh, there we go. The front end fell out. So I don't know what that means. So now, at some point, can I pull back? Because I should be free from the tractor. There we are. There we're free. Except I'm going the wrong way. As long as it keeps coming with me, that's okay. There we are. Keep coming. Because we can always, I just want to get it away from the tractor. Let's go check our hoses. I just want to get it away from the tractor, and then I can just set it down and move it later. Well, the wood block, I can't get a heavy enough plank on this left side to hold it, so I just chained to the loader mount up there, and we'll see if I can't roll it in this way. Stiff tires. I'll wash that air cleaner. Yeah, shoot. So plan C, we put a piece of steel in the front axle and then push with the round bale, and hopefully we can slide that front end around. it works, because at least with the round bale, you're not gonna ruin any sheet metal or scratch or dent anything. It's actually worked pretty good all winter long. By golly, we'll get her in. Like, anywhere here should work. There we go. And we got Dad found a good used axle. Oh well. We'll get that in the shop and go through the hubs. Check out the pivot pins and all that kind of stuff. And between the two of them, we should have a good front end. Well, later today we'll have this installed, and then just figure out a bunch of little stuff that the tractor might need. You can hear that puppy. That's an air conditioning line. And he's leaking right there. Rest assured, calm down. I'm not testing with Freon. I use a little fitting that I adapted to an air chuck, and then I use a pressure regulator, and then I can just up and down the air pressure and bleed it off for testing these AC systems if they fail a vacuum test. So I vacuum tested, and it failed. So instead of putting Freon in and running around with a sniffer and spending money that way, it's way too easy. Shut the radio off, turn everything off, and make it quiet, and then put this on, and then we can find the leak. And then I'll draw a bunch of Venn diagrams. Got the tractor inside. We got the front axle off. We got the new axle. Dad popped the tie rod ends off. Gonna go through, make sure, the tie rod ends are good. If they're good, he'll put a new rubber boot on them. If they're bad, obviously you replace them. Checking the spindles, checking the bearing hubs. Pulled the radiator because that was leaking, and kind of also giving the tractor a little peek, a little look over. It's the guy's little feeding tractor, so you got to count on it every day. So this 4430, the guy's starting to retire and selling stuff off, and just the worst luck. I just met the guy not too long ago. It seems like a really decent guy, super cool, and just bad luck. But this tractor, 7,800 hours on this 4430, and it's straight. As far as we can tell, I don't think it's been repainted. I don't think so. But it looks very original. The only thing we can see is that somebody changed the air conditioning pump and a water pump at one point. And so they're driving along. The tractor all of a sudden decides to try to kill the engine and go in reverse at the same time it's going forward. And then, so they call us and bring it up here. And this gear doesn't look very good. Well, because it looks invisible, because it's not there.
So this gear meshes to this gear, which meshes to this gear, and they're all broke. And here's what's left of that gear. So something went through between them 3 gears. It's impossible that the shifter moved into reverse, and did it that way. Something like a gear tooth had to fail on one of the gears. A gear tooth had to fail, or something went through there. And then this gear is fairly thin, so that gear got broke. And but so while we're there, so we got to put in a counter shaft, we got to put in A gear, D gear, and C gear, because these other gears, the shift teeth are bad. So these gears do not engage the shaft. You can see that they're smooth bore. The shaft is splined. So these gears ride up here, and your shift collar is splined to the shaft. So when you slide back for A range, it engages, and then you slide forward for D range. Well, these teeth are so bad, what's going to happen is you're going to shift into D and start driving down the road, and all of a sudden, kick, that lever will kick out of D range, and then you'll push in the clutch and you push it back in. But while we're here, the brake pads are loose, which is to be expected. So we'll put them in, and if you peek up in here, over here, you can see the damage to the bearing. So all the bearings are bad, not that bad, but all the bearings are bad to some extent, to where all the transmission shaft and differential bearings will have to be replaced. We'll pull the axle housings in and pull the planetaries out, inspect that inner bearing, deal with them as needed. So we got gears, bearings. Otherwise, for the most part, everything looks good. We'll do brakes, load shaft seals were leaking while we're here. Heater hoses, one battery was bad. Then we'll get everything back together, and the axles, we'll reload the bearings if we need to, but get everything back together, get the tractor running, get it a good cleaning. Did have a loader on it, so that's why the frame rail looks like that. It just has 1838 bias ply tires, but they're in really good condition. And so the tractor, I don't think the tractor was getting pulled very hard because it simply didn't have enough rubber. It didn't have enough rubber on it to be pulling it very hard. It's just a chore tractor for a lot of years. And so yeah, let's help this farmer out, and let's find somebody that needs a gorgeous 4430. And anything I do, obviously I stand behind as long as I don't see abuse. But if it shifts, when I get it together, if it shifts and backs up and drives forward, we're good to go. Warranty's off. But then one thrust washer was also broke in there. And so, yeah. But yeah. But we'll do the best we can for them, and we'll do a good job and get it running right. And like I said, if you can think of anybody that needs a nice 4430, have them stop on over, give us a call, and we'll get this thing put back together. And that's what I kind of want to document. Normally I don't do a whole lot with customer stuff, but I'll document this one a little bit more, so we can help get it sold and proof of purchase for what we're working on. And so, yeah. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining me today.